The pounding started before my coffee did. Not polite knocking, hard, official, the kind that makes you sit straight up, like your body already knows it's trouble. I threw on a sweatshirt, patted down the hallway, and checked the clock on the microwave. My house was still dark, the kind of dark that makes every sound feel louder. Then a voice cut through the door. "Police, ma'am, open up." My throat went tight. I looked down the hall. My kids' doors were closed, thank God. I took a breath, opened the latch, and cracked the door. Two officers stood on my porch. One had that calm face people get when they've practiced saying bad news 1,000 times. The other one's eyes kept flicking past me like he was already searching the room. "Are you Kendra Shaw?" the calm one asked. "Yes," I said. "What's going on?" He didn't ease into it. "Your vehicle was involved in a hit and run," he said. "A sanitation worker was struck. The driver fled." For half a second, my brain just stalled. "My vehicle?" I repeated, like the words didn't fit. He nodded. "Plate comes back to this address." My hands went cold. "I haven't driven anywhere," I said. "I've been home." The second officer stepped closer. "Where's the car now?" "Driveway," I said automatically. The calm officer watched my face like he was measuring whether I was lying, confused, or both. "Ma'am," he said, "we need you to step outside." I did. Slowly, palms visible. Not because I was guilty, because I didn't want any extra chaos in front of my kids. The morning air hit my face, sharp and damp, and that's when I saw it. My car sat in the driveway like it always did, except the front bumper looked wrong. Not smashed to pieces, just slightly out of place like someone had tried to push it back in with their hands. The calm officer noticed my stare. "You see the damage?" he asked. My mouth felt dry. That wasn't there yesterday. Behind me, the door opened a little wider, and my sister, Alyssa, slipped out onto the porch like she lived there. Hair smooth, robe tied, expression perfectly concerned. "Oh my God," she whispered, like she was the victim in this story. Then she leaned close to my shoulder and breathed, quiet and sharp. "Say nothing." I didn't turn my head. I didn't ask her why she was even here. I just stayed facing the officers because my instincts were screaming that if I looked at her, I'd give her the reaction she wanted. The calm officer glanced between us. "Who's that?" he asked. "My sister," I said. Alyssa stepped forward with a little smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Officer, she's been inside all night," she said quickly. "I can vouch for her." I felt my stomach twist. Because that line sounded helpful. But it also sounded practiced. The second officer took a step toward the car. "Do you have the keys on you?" "They're inside," I said. Alyssa's voice slid in again, soft as a knife. "Don't. Let them in." I didn't respond to her. I just looked at the calm officer and said the first thing that mattered. "I have a dash cam." Both officers froze a hair. The calm one blinked. "You have a dash cam in the car?" "Yes," I said. "Front and cabin. It records when the car is on. Sometimes it records even when it senses motion." Alyssa's hand touched my arm. Light, controlling. "Kendra?" she murmured. Like she was worried about me. Now is not the time to start guessing. I pulled my arm away without looking at her. The calm officer's tone changed. Not aggressive, just focused. "Can you show us the footage?" he asked. "Yes," I said immediately because I wanted this to be over, and I wanted my kids to stay asleep in their beds and not grow up thinking police only come to your house when you're bad. The second officer went to the passenger side and peered in, careful not to touch anything. The calm officer stayed with me. "Where were you last night?" he asked. "Home," I said. "I put the kids to bed. I watched half of a show. I fell asleep on the couch. Exciting life." Alyssa made a small sound like a laugh as if she and I were on the same team, but her eyes weren't laughing. And her eyes were watching the officers like she was tracking their angles. I walked to my car with my keys. My hands shook, which annoyed me because I'm not a shaky person. But fear doesn't ask permission. I unlocked the driver door. The dashcam was mounted behind the rearview mirror. Small, black, quiet. The kind of thing you forget exists until you need it. Is it an SD card? The calm officer asked. Yes, I said. But there's also an app. I pulled my phone out. My screen lit up, and for a split second, I saw new notifications, missed emails, a weather alert, normal life stuff mocking me. I opened the Dashcam app. It loaded, the little spinning circle making my heart beat louder. Alyssa stepped closer behind me, voice low. If you show them anything, you're going to make this worse, she whispered. I finally turned my head a fraction. Worse than them thinking I ran down a city worker? I said quietly. She didn't answer. She just stared at my phone like she could will it to shut off. The footage list appeared. Timestamps, tiny thumbnails. And there it was. A clip from last night, right in the middle of the timeline when I was asleep on my couch. I tapped it. The preview opened. For a second, it was just the inside of my car. Dark cabin, streetlights sliding across the dashboard. Then the cabin light flicked on, and a face leaned in close to the camera. Alyssa's face. Not the helpful sister face. The other one. The one she wears when she thinks she's getting away with something. The calm officer leaned in to see. Is that... He started. My throat went tight. Yes, I said, voice flat. Oh, that's my sister. Behind me, Alyssa sucked in a breath so sharp it sounded like a hiss. No, she said instantly. That's not... Kendra, that's not what it looks like. The clip kept rolling. Alyssa slid into the driver's seat, adjusted the mirror like she'd done it before, and pulled out of my driveway. Then the video jumped to the street. Headlights, movement, speed. The officers didn't speak, they just watched. And then, a sudden jolt. A hard thump. The kind of impact you feel through the phone speaker even without sound. Alyssa cursed, clear as day. Then her face snapped toward the dashcam for 1 second, like she'd remembered it existed. The calm officer held up a hand. Pause it, he said. I did. He looked straight at Alyssa on my porch. Ma'am, he said, voice suddenly cold. Why is your sister driving your car at the time of the collision? Alyssa's mouth opened, closed. Then she stepped forward like she was about to grab my phone. And the second officer moved at the same time, blocking her without touching her, just placing his body in the way. Alyssa's eyes flashed. Pure anger now, no mask. And in that moment, I understood something that made my blood run colder than the morning air. She hadn't whispered, "Say nothing," to protect me. She whispered it because she thought the dashcam was still asleep. For a second, nobody moved. Not me. Not the officers. Even Alyssa froze, like her brain was sprinting to find a new lie that fit the video. Ma'am, the calm officer said, eyes on her. Step back. Hands where I can see them. Alyssa lifted her hands, palms out, doing that innocent little shrug like she was on a reality show. This is insane, she said. She's confused. That video could be old or edited. The second officer didn't take his eyes off her. Step back, he repeated. Alyssa took 1 step, then tried to drift closer again, toward me, toward my phone, like she could physically reclaim the situation. The officer slid in front of her again. Not dramatic. Just, no. The calm officer turned to me. Is that your dashcam footage? He asked. Yes, I said. It's my camera, my app, my account. Did you give her permission to drive your car last night? He asked. No, I said. And I didn't soften it. Absolutely not. Alyssa let out a sharp laugh like I'd just told a joke. Oh my God, she said. Kendra, don't do this. I looked at her, finally, full on. You took my car while I was asleep, I said, and you hit somebody. Her face flashed, anger for half a second. Then she tried to put the sweet sister mask back on. You don't know what happened, she insisted. You weren't there. The calm officer's voice stayed even. That's why we're going to preserve the evidence, he said. He nodded toward my phone. I'm going to ask you to stop the video and keep the device in your hand, he said to me. Don't delete anything. Don't edit anything. Just hold. Then he looked at the dash cam on my windshield. Do you have the SD card accessible? He asked. Yes, I said. But he cut in gently, not rude. I'm asking because video evidence gets messed with when people panic. Alyssa scoffed. Are you accusing me? The second officer turned his head a fraction toward her. Yes, he said, flat. Alyssa's mouth snapped shut. I reached up slowly and popped the dash cam cover. My fingers were clumsy, like they belonged to someone else. I slid the tiny card out and held it between two fingers like it could bite me. The calm officer pulled out an evidence envelope. May I take it? He asked. Yes, I said. Please. He labeled it right there on my hood. Time, date, case number. Nothing cinematic. Just real. While he did that, I heard a door down the hall creak. One of my kids. Sleepy, scared. Mom, a small voice called. My chest tightened. The second officer immediately pivoted. His tone softened, like he'd switched gears on purpose. Hey, buddy, he called gently, not walking toward the hallway, just letting the voice travel. You're okay. Everything's okay. Go back to bed for me. All right. My kid hesitated. I forced my voice to stay calm, even though I felt like my insides were shaking. Sweetie, I said, go back to your room. I'll be there in a minute. The door clicked shut again. I exhaled through my nose like I'd been holding my breath for an hour. Alyssa watched the hallway, then looked back at me with this cold little calculation in her eyes. Like, yeah, use the kids to guilt people. That works. The calm officer finished sealing the envelope, then looked at Alyssa again. Ma'am, he said, what is your full name? Alyssa Pierce, she said quickly. I'm her sister. I was here all night. You were here all night, he repeated. Then how are you on this video driving her car last night? Alyssa's eyes darted, left, right, like she was scanning for an exit. She asked me to, she started. I cut in because I was done letting her steer the narrative. She didn't, I said. I didn't. Alyssa snapped her head toward me. You're really going to do this? She hissed under her breath. The calm officer lifted a hand, not at me at the moment. Stop, he said. I'm going to separate you. He turned to the second officer. Take Miss Pierce to the curb, he said. Just talk to her. Keep her there. Alyssa's voice jumped an octave. I'm not a suspect. I'm helping. The second officer didn't argue. He just gestured. Over here, he said. Alyssa threw me one look, pure hatred, then walked with him down the driveway like she was going to sue the air. The calm officer stayed with me. Ma'am, he said quietly, we need your statement, and we need to confirm you were not the driver. I nodded. Tell me what you need. He glanced at my car again. Do you have any other cameras? He asked. Doorbell cam? Neighbor cam? I blinked. My neighbor does. Across the street, Mrs. Delgado. She has a camera pointed right at the road because of package theft. He nodded once. Can you ask her to preserve last night? He said. I almost laughed, but it came out more like disbelief. Mrs. Delgado doesn't miss anything, I said. She probably already has it on a folder labeled drama. The officer's mouth twitched, barely, like he appreciated the humor but didn't want to encourage it. Okay, he said. Ask her. I jogged across the lawn in my socks like a person in a weird dream and rang Mrs. Delgado's bell. It opened immediately. She was already dressed. Of course she was. I saw the lights, she said. You okay? I'm trying, I said. I need you to save your camera footage from last night. My sister took my car. Mrs. Delgado didn't gasp, didn't clutch pearls. She just nodded like she'd been waiting for this day. I already saved it, she said. What time? I told her. She reached behind her and held up her phone. I've got a clip of your car leaving, she said, and coming back. My stomach twisted. Coming back? I repeated. She looked straight at me. Your sister brought it back, she said. Fast, like she was late to bury something. I walked back toward my driveway with her beside me, and the calm officer met us halfway. Mrs. Delgado held her phone out like she was presenting a receipt. I have video, she said. You want it? The calm officer nodded. Yes, ma'am, thank you. He didn't snatch it, and he did it the right way. Asked her to text it to a department evidence link on a card he handed her, so it stayed clean and time-stamped. Then his radio crackled. A voice, clipped and serious. Victim is at the hospital, significant injuries. Hit and run is being upgraded. Traffic investigator en route. The calm officer's face tightened. He looked at me. Okay, he said softly. That changes the stakes. My throat went tight again. Is he going to be okay? I asked. He didn't promise what he couldn't promise. He's alive, he said. That's what I have right now. Then he turned his head toward Alyssa, still standing at the curb with the other officer, arms crossed like she was offended by consequences. The calm officer's voice went firm. Ms. Pierce, he called, you're going to need to come with us? Alyssa laughed, sharp, eye disbelieving. For what? She snapped. I didn't do anything. The calm officer held up the evidence envelope with the Dashcam card inside. We have video, he said. We have a witness camera, and we have a victim in the hospital. Alyssa's face tightened. Then she did something that made my blood go cold all over again. She looked at me and whispered, loud enough for me, not for them. If you let them take me, I'll tell them you knew. I'll say you begged me to cover for you. I stared at her, because that was her real talent. Not lying, dragging you down into the lie with her. And I could see it coming, the next part of her plan, the part that turns Dashcam proof into a messy fight if you're not careful. The traffic investigator's car pulled up to the curb. He got out, looked at my driveway, looked at Alyssa. I then looked straight at me. Ma'am, he said, who was driving your car last night? I didn't hesitate. I pointed at Alyssa, and she smiled at me like she was about to flip the whole story anyway. The traffic investigator introduced himself like a man who'd rather deal with facts than feelings. Detective Solace, traffic unit, he said, glancing from my car to my face. I'm going to ask you questions fast. Don't take it personal. I'd love a normal morning, I muttered. But sure. He gave the tiniest nod like he'd heard that exact sentence from 1,000 stunned people. He pointed at the dashcam on my windshield. You already showed patrol footage? Yes, I said. It's her driving. It's the impact. It's everything. Solis looked past me toward Alyssa at the curb. She was still acting offended, arms crossed, on jaw tight, like the world was inconveniencing her. Solis didn't match her energy. He just said, okay, and motioned me toward the hood of my car. Tell me where you were from midnight to 3, he said. At home, I replied. Kids asleep. I fell asleep on the couch. Any proof you were home? He asked, neutral, not accusing. Just doing his job. I didn't get defensive. I got practical. I have my phone, I said. My watch tracks sleep, and my neighbor has video of my car leaving and coming back. Mrs. Delgado, standing 2 feet behind me like a guardian angel with Wi-Fi, lifted her chin. And I already sent it. Solus glanced at her. Thank you, ma'am. Then he turned back to me. Do you have the keys in your possession right now? He asked. I pulled them from my pocket and held them up. Solus nodded. I'm good. He spoke into his radio. Start a tow for evidence processing. My stomach dropped. You're towing my car? I asked. It's involved in a serious injury hit and run, he said plainly. We document it, process it, then your insurance can do what it does. I swallowed. I need my car. I have kids. His expression softened a fraction. I get it, he said. But if we do this sloppy, she gets wiggle room. You want wiggle room for her? No, I shook my head once. No. Solus pointed at my phone. I also need that dashcam file preserved properly. We already have the SD card, but I want you to send the clip through our evidence portal too. Redundancy is your friend today. I almost laughed, but it came out tight. Yeah, today I'm a fan of redundancy. He handed me a card with a QR code and a case number printed on it. Upload it, he said. Now, while it's fresh. I started doing it right there. Fingers clumsy, heart pounding, when Alyssa suddenly called out from the curb. This is ridiculous, she snapped. She's trying to pin this on me because she's scared. Solus didn't even turn his head. He just lifted a hand, like, hold your noise, and kept looking at me. Did she have access to your keys? He asked. I hesitated, and that hesitation made me angry at myself, because the answer was obvious. Yes, I said. I keep them on a hook by the kitchen. Solus nodded, like, of course you do. Normal people do. Has she stayed with you before? He asked. She's been in and out, I said carefully. When it's convenient for her. Mrs. Delgado made a sound in her throat. She agreed without saying it. Solus finally turned toward Alyssa. Ms. Pierce, he said, voice calm but firm. I'm going to talk to you now. Alyssa straightened like she was about to charm a room. She wasn't ready for Solus. He asked one simple question. Why were you driving her car last night? Alyssa blinked twice. I wasn't. Solus didn't argue. He just nodded toward my phone. We have dash cam footage, he said. That could be, Alyssa started. Solus cut her off with the most boring sentence in the world. We'll let the video talk. Alyssa's eyes flicked to me and her voice dropped into that low, poisonous whisper again, only meant for my ears. Tell them you gave me permission, she hissed, or I'll say you were in the car with me. My skin went cold. Solus saw my face tighten. He didn't ask, what did she say? He just stepped closer and lowered his voice to me. Listen, he said. Family cases get messy because people try to drag each other into the mud. Don't get pulled. Stick to what you can prove. I nodded, throat tight. Solus turned back to Alyssa. Where were you between midnight and 3? He asked. Alyssa lifted her chin. Here, in the house, asleep. Mrs. Delgado snorted. Not a laugh, more like a sound of pure disbelief. Solus looked at her. You have footage of her leaving too? Mrs. Delgado didn't miss a beat. No, but I have the car leaving and it wasn't Kendra driving. Alyssa whipped her head. How would you know? Mrs. Delgado smiled, slow and deadly. Because you turned on the cabin light before you backed out. Some people have hobbies. Mine is windows. Alyssa's cheeks flushed. Solus's phone buzzed. He checked it, then his expression tightened. Focused. Update from the hospital, he said, half to himself. Victim's injuries are serious. This is going felony. Alyssa's posture shifted. Just slightly, like reality finally walked in. Then Solus's radio chirped again, a different voice this time. Traffic, this is Sanitation Supervisor. We have vehicle footage. Solus straightened. Say again? We have camera footage from the sanitation truck, the voice repeated. Rear and side angles. The worker reported the truck system, captured it. Solis's eyes went to me. That was the second impact. Not just my dash cam, not just my neighbor, a city vehicle camera. He stepped away and spoke into the radio. "Send it to my department email and the evidence link," he said. "And preserve the original. Do not overwrite." He turned back, eyes sharp now. "Ma'am," he said to me, "that truck footage is going to matter." Alyssa forced a laugh that sounded like it hurt her throat. "Oh, sure," she said. "Now the garbage truck is in on it." Solis looked at her like she was exhausting. "People don't fake felony evidence for fun," he said. "And city systems don't care about your family drama." Alyssa's jaw clenched. Then she tried a new angle because when denial stops working, she always pivots. "Fine," she snapped. "I drove it. She let me. She's lying because she's scared she'll get blamed." My stomach twisted, but Solis didn't even blink. "Okay," he said. "If she let you, show me the text." Alyssa froze. Solis waited. Patient. Silent. Alyssa's eyes darted, and I could practically hear her brain flipping through excuses like a deck of cards. "I don't have it," she said finally. No, it was verbal. Solis nodded once, like, there it is. "Then we're back to evidence," he said. "And evidence isn't on your side." My phone pinged, upload complete, a confirmation screen with a timestamp. Solis glanced at it. "Good," he said. "That's preserved." A tow truck pulled up at the curb. The driver climbed out, clipboard in hand, ready to take my car like it was a package. I watched my vehicle, my normal life vehicle, about to be hauled away because my sister treated it like a disposable tool. And I felt something in me go still. Not numb. Steady. Solis stepped close again, low voice. "You did the right thing bringing up the dash cam," he said. "Most people freeze and start talking themselves into a hole." I nodded. "I almost did." He looked toward Alyssa, then back to me. "Here's what's about to happen," he said. "We're taking your vehicle for processing. We're going to interview you formally, and we're going to interview her formally. If that truck footage shows what I think it shows..." He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Because Alyssa was already watching the tow hook clamp onto my car like it was handcuffs for her plan. Then Solis's phone buzzed again. He read the message, and his eyes narrowed. He turned the screen slightly toward me, just enough for me to see a paused video frame. Grainy, wide angle, a sanitation truck camera view of the street. My car, headlights slicing the dark. And the driver's side window, lit. A face visible in the glow for a split second. Solis looked at Alyssa. Then he said, calm and final, "Ms. Pierce, you're coming downtown." Alyssa's mouth opened, and this time, no sound came out. And by the time the tow truck hauled my car away, my driveway looked wrong. Like somebody had lifted a piece of my life and left a clean outline behind. Detective Solis handed me a card with the case number again and said, "We're taking your sister downtown. I'll need you to come in for a formal statement after you get your kids settled." I nodded, but my brain was already doing that frantic mom math. Kids, school, work. A car that now belonged to evidence. A sister who was about to turn this into her personal soap opera. Mrs. Delgado stepped closer and lowered her voice. "I can stay until your friend arrives," she said, like it was the most normal thing in the world. I blinked at her. "You don't even like my sister." "I don't like people who treat other people like props," she said. "Yeah, go handle your kids." So I called Jasmine, a coworker friend who has that rare talent of being calm and terrifying at the same time. When she picked up, I didn't even try to sound okay. "Can you come over?" I asked. "Something happened. Police, is my sister... It's bad." Jasmine didn't ask for details. She just said, "I'm on my way," and hung up. That alone took a little weight off my chest. Inside, I moved through the house like I was underwater, packing lunches on autopilot, smoothing hair, answering my kids' sleepy questions with the safest version of the truth. Mom, why were there lights? Grown up stuff, I said. You're safe. That's what matters. When Jasmine arrived, she took one look at my face and didn't push. Go, she said, grabbing her keys. I've got them. Mrs. I Delgado gave Jasmine a quick nod like they'd just signed a treaty. Then I drove to the station in Jasmine's car because my own was sitting behind a locked gate somewhere with a tag on it. The police station smelled like coffee that had given up and floor cleaner that never worked. Detective Solis met me in a small interview room. No one-way mirror, no dramatic spotlight, just a table, a chair, and that hum of fluorescent lights that makes you feel like you're in a waiting room for consequences. He slid a form toward me. Statement, he said. Just facts, timeline, permission, or no permission. I picked up the pen. My hand didn't shake this time. I was past shaking. No, I said as I wrote. No permission. Solis nodded, satisfied. Good. Then he added, I'm going to be blunt with you. She already tried to shift it. My jaw tightened. Of course she did. Solis leaned back. She said you let her borrow the car. Then she said you were arguing and she panicked and drove off. I stared at him. She said I was there? She implied it, Solis said. Then when I asked where you were, she didn't have a clean answer, so she pivoted. Pivoted to what? I asked. Solis didn't smile, but his tone had that dry edge of someone who's heard too many bad lies. She tried the classic. The worker stepped out suddenly. It was an accident. I got scared. My stomach twisted. Is he okay? I asked. Solis's face changed a fraction, less detective, more human. He's alive, and he said, still serious. I exhaled slowly, the kind of exhale that feels like it scrapes your ribs. Solis looked at the door, then back at me. Now the good news, he said. Your dashcam wasn't the only camera. He slid his phone across the table and hit play. It was the sanitation truck footage. Wide angle, streetlights, the truck rolling, my car coming up too fast. And then, clear as day, my car swerved. The impact happened so quick my body flinched like it was happening in the room. The video paused on a frame where the driver's side window was lit. A face in the glow. Not perfect, not a portrait, but enough. Solis tapped the screen. That's her. I stared until my eyes burned. There was no what if left. No gray. Just a choice she made. And a person paying for it. Solis took his phone back and continued. Calm, procedural, but not cold. We also pulled the car's infotainment log, he said. I blinked. The what? He simplified it immediately. Your car keeps a record of what phone it connects to, he said. Like when it pairs to play music. I stared at him. Solis nodded once. At about 1:22 a.m., your car paired with a phone labeled Alyssa iPhone. I let out a breath that was half laugh, half disbelief. She connected her phone, I murmured. In my car, while committing a felony. Solis's mouth twitched. People get real confident when they think nobody's watching. Then he added, and she made a call from the car. My head snapped up. To who? Solis glanced at his notes. A number saved as Babe. Of course. I closed my eyes for a second because I didn't want the petty part of my brain to be right, but it was anyway. Solis leaned forward. That call matters, he said. Not because we care about her love life, because it places her in the driver's seat in real time. I nodded slowly. He slid another paper toward me. And this, he said, is the next part. It was a victim restitution form, not dramatic, just real. Medical costs, missed work, damage. My throat tightened again. Solis watched my face. You're not responsible for the injury, he said, plain. But we need clean paperwork that she had no permission, and you cooperated immediately. That helps everyone, especially the victim. I signed. Because this wasn't family drama. This was somebody's spine and somebody's paycheck. The door opened and a uniformed officer stepped in holding a clipboard. He didn't look at me. He looked at Solus. "She's asking to make a call," he said. "And she's asking if her sister is pressing charges." Solus didn't even sigh. He just rubbed his temple once like he'd expected it. He looked at me. "This isn't TV," he said. "You don't drop a felony hit and run because someone says sorry. The state decides. But your statement on permission matters for the unauthorized use portion." I nodded. "Whatever you need." Solus stood and opened the door halfway. "Tell her no contact," he said to the officer. Then he looked back at me and added, "I'm also going to request a no-contact order at arraignment." That word landed heavy. Arraignment meant court. It meant a judge. It meant this was officially no longer something my sister could laugh off over brunch. Solus turned back to me. "One more thing," he said. "Remember that whisper? Say nothing?" I nodded. "We have body cam," he said. "It caught her telling you to keep quiet while she tried to control the scene." My skin went cold again, because it wasn't just the hit and run. It was the way she tried to make me complicit. Solus's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression tightened. "Hospital update," he said quietly. "The worker's going into surgery." My chest went tight like someone grabbed my ribs. Solus didn't soften reality, but he didn't dramatize it either. "This is why people don't get to just flee," he said. "This is what fleeing does." He looked at me for a long beat. "Tomorrow morning," he said, "you're going to see her in court. The sanitation supervisor's coming. And if the DA files what I think they're filing..." He paused. Your sister's family problem becomes a felony record." The officer outside knocked lightly and opened the door again. "She's on the phone," he said, eyes on Solus. "She keeps saying she needs to explain it to her sister." Solus glanced at me. "Do not take that call." I nodded. He stepped into the hall and I heard his voice. Firm, final. "No, she does not contact the victim or the vehicle owner. Not from here." A second later, my own phone buzzed. Unknown number. Then it buzzed again. Voicemail. Alyssa's voice came through, thin and furious and suddenly scared. "Kendra," she hissed. "If you don't fix this, I swear I'll..." The message cut off mid-sentence. Not because she calmed down, because someone took the phone away. Solus walked back in, shut the door, and looked at me like he was making a promise he could actually keep. "Get some rest if you can," he said. "Tomorrow, it's not about what she says. It's about what the evidence says." And for the first time since that pounding on my door, I believed him. I barely slept. Not because I was scared of my sister showing up. Detective Solus had made it clear she wouldn't get that chance. But because my brain kept replaying that impact on the sanitation camera like it was trying to undo it. By morning, Jasmine had my kids fed and dressed like she'd been doing it her whole life. "You look like you got hit by the truck," she said, handing me my phone. "Funny," I muttered. "I'll tell the judge you're a poet." She didn't smile. She just squeezed my shoulder once. "Go finish it," she said. At the courthouse, the hallway felt different than the family loan case. This wasn't paperwork warfare. This was real consequences. Detective Solus met me near the courtroom door with a folder under his arm. "Quick update," he said. "Worker made it through surgery. Still serious, but stable." My chest loosened just a little. "Thank God." Solus nodded. "Now we do the court part." Inside, my sister sat at the defense table wearing a blazer like it was armor. Her hair was perfect. Her face was controlled. And sitting beside her, new character, new problem, was a man in a suit with a legal pad. Alyssa had a lawyer. Of course she did. Behind her in the gallery was the guy from the infotainment call because I recognized him immediately from her social media photos. The babe. He looked less confident in person, more like he'd realized too late and that he'd bought a front row seat to a disaster. The judge came in, everyone stood, everyone sat. The prosecutor didn't waste time. She read the charges cleanly like she'd done it 100 times. Leaving the scene of a crash with serious injury, reckless driving, causing injury, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and a separate allegation for making false statements during an investigation, I watched Alyssa's jaw tighten harder with each line. When it was her attorney's turn, he stood and tried the only move they had left. "Your Honor," he said, "my client disputes the allegation that she took the vehicle without permission. This is a family situation." The prosecutor cut in, calm but sharp. "This is not a family situation," she said. "No, this is a serious injury hit and run with video evidence from multiple sources." The judge glanced down at his file, then up. "Multiple sources?" he asked. The prosecutor nodded. "Dashcam, sanitation vehicle footage, neighbor camera, and vehicle pairing logs indicating the defendant's phone connected to the car during the time of the incident." Alyssa's attorney started to speak again. The judge raised a hand. "Stop," he said, looking right at Alyssa. "Do you understand what you are facing?" Alyssa's mouth opened, but her attorney jumped in. "We're asking for reasonable bail, Your Honor. She has community ties." The prosecutor didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "She showed up at the vehicle owner's home during the police response," she said. "Attempted to influence the witness. Aiken told her to say nothing. Body camera captured it." That line landed like a weight. Even Alyssa's lawyer stopped flipping pages for a second. The judge leaned back, eyes narrowing. Then he said the words I didn't know I needed to hear until he said them. "Absolutely no contact with the vehicle owner?" He looked directly at Alyssa. "No calls, no texts, no third-party messages. No accidentally running into her at the grocery store," he said. "If you violate this, you will be remanded." Alyssa's face twitched like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. The judge set bond. Not outrageous. Not symbolic. Real enough to sting. And he ordered her to surrender her driver's license pending review. Then he set the next court date and moved on like her world hadn't just cracked open in public. Outside the courtroom, when Alyssa's attorney tried to find my eyes. "Ms. Shaw," he said, "will be requesting discovery." I didn't engage. I didn't gloat. I just walked past him and said quietly, "Talk to the video." Detective Solis met me in the hallway. "That no-contact order starts now," he said. "If she tries anything, you call me. Not her. Not your mom. Me." I nodded, and for the first time, I believed I wasn't alone in this. Because I had allies too. Real ones. Jasmine with my kids, Mrs. Delgado with her cameras, Solis with his paperwork and his calm, and the city, bluntly, on record. 2 weeks later, my car was still in the impound lot being processed. But my life was already shifting back toward normal. My bank didn't freeze. My insurance didn't drop me. The case wasn't my plate, my fault. Because the evidence did what evidence does when it's clear, it chose the right person. A claims adjuster called me and said it in plain English. "We're marking you as not at fault," she said. "We have the police report and the footage. Your policy is not taking the hit." I asked for it in writing because I've learned my lesson about life. She emailed a confirmation the same day. No dramatic music. Just a quiet little document that meant my kids wouldn't lose their stability because my sister wanted to borrow power for one night. 6 weeks after the raid on my front porch, I got the update people always want in these stories. What happened to the sister? Alyssa didn't beat the evidence. She couldn't. She took a plea deal. And her lawyer called it the best option. The prosecutor called it accountability. Here's what it meant in real life. She pled guilty to leaving the scene and unauthorized use her license was suspended. She was ordered to pay restitution tied to the victim's medical bills and missed work. She got probation with strict terms, including continued no contact with me, and the court added a condition that she could not drive any vehicle without proof of insurance and permission in writing. When I heard the words restitution ordered, I didn't feel satisfied. I felt settled. Because the point wasn't to ruin her. The point was to stop her from being able to ruin me with one reckless choice and a lazy lie. Detective Solis called me personally that afternoon. "You did everything right," he said. "You didn't get pulled into her mess. You stayed on facts." I looked at my living room, kids' backpacks by the door, cereal bowls in the sink, normal life returning like a tide. "I didn't do it alone," I said. Solis paused, then said something I'll remember forever. "That's how you survive people like her," he said. "You don't out-yell them, you out-document them." After I hung up, my phone buzzed with one last message from an unknown number. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Because the court order existed now. The kind of paper that doesn't care how persuasive Alyssa thinks she is. And for once, neither did I. If you've ever had a family member try to drag you into their mess and call it love, tell me, what would you have done in my place?